don't blink. Blink and you're dead. Don't turn your back. Don't look away. And don't blink. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm so getting copyrighted for that intro, but Kalkan and MyCup both cooked with theirs this week, and I cannot let them overtake me, so...
Any Shiba fan that thinks I'm crazy because of the things I said on his name, I slandered him because I liked it!
It had to be done. I'm officially sacrificing the monetizability of this video to have dope Doctor Who intro. Anyway, this chapter, incredible. I'm very happy. Last week, I don't even know why I got frustrated, right? I was thinking, oh, Azami's gonna pull up and save Shiba. Oh, Subaru's gonna cook. You know, it makes sense that Shiba's gone down. He's too strong. They had to plan around him. He's too injured to... How does this guy keep getting away with the same gimmick every single time? And it works every time without fail. And even Hokuzono started putting the little glitch effect in the panel before Shiba arrives. So now every chapter I read, I'm just gonna have to look out for the little glitch effect on a panel. And that means it's Shiba time. Oh, it's such a good gimmick. It's amazing. And he's kind of having his like, you freaking demon moment, right? He's having his little Azami pulling up to Yura moment. He's having his Gojo pulling up to Toji moment. The Masumi looked at his medical chart because all his wounds from Orishima have come back, which means completely shattered arm, broken ribs, he's probably got a collapsed lung, concussion, all of that, the whole package, right? And the Masumi girl or guy or whatever you are was like you shouldn't even be able to breathe right now, never mind get up and get rid of me. And then at the end of the chapter, it's not just the one Masumi, he comes back and he grabs both the others and gets them out. While in that state, yes, I understand Yura. I get it. I know why you had to plan around him. I know why you called him the pinnacle of sorcery. I get it. Anyone who's doubting this guy, we're just brain dead JJK fans at this point. We're just agenda posting. Like, you guys do not believe that Shiba is a fraud and a bum. Like, I want to hear it because you were very vocal last week, Shiba haters. Speak up. Like, what have you got to say now, huh? I'm very happy. Shiba is unbelievably awesome. And yeah, I love this guy. And something else I want to kind of point out to do with Shiba in this chapter before I move on to other things is I absolutely love his way of expressing what's pushed him to go this far. Why he's feeling like he has no right to lay down there and just like firm the injuries and leave it to someone else. And that is because of Mashiro, who had a hole in his chest. All right, he was completely penetrated. Pause. He was completely blown open. That really is not much better. Aryu gave him a bad injury and there's a hole in his chest. Whatever. And he goes, I once saw a guy with a hole in his chest crush an entire ship into a ball. I should not be doing any less. The Masumi probably don't even know what he's talking about. Like, it's such a very, like, human and realistic bit of dialogue. I feel like that is the way someone would actually say it, is like, I once saw a guy do this. And we obviously know who he's talking about. But he says it in a way that's like, everyone else there isn't going to have a clue what he's on about. We're giving Mashiro the respect he deserves, and his death is now weighing on Shiba, which means Shiba feels no right to just lie there and take these injuries. He has to do more. It's just peak. I don't know, like, everything to do with Shiba is just peak. I love it. Amazing. Also, the artwork, brilliant. I know this chapter is a few pages short, a bit like the last one. I imagine that's just because of the break and stuff. I'd give it a few chapters, I'm sure it will get back into the normal rhythm. But the artwork is very strong. The Masumi are so cool. This chapter really did make me understand how strong these guys actually are. And I thought about it and I was like, huh. Ro, Moku, and Sumi have like fought Samura. And that's the only fight they've really struggled with at all. Like, you've got Ro clashing with Kuguri, and then you've got all the Datanseki powered goons that they were just cutting down like no one's business. And even Subaru Arita is like, these guys are good. I cannot detect anything, and their form is amazing. But the Masumi might actually just be the Anbu Black Ops if they're not, like, frauds. Because Anbu Black Ops, they were, what is it? Kakashi and Itachi, bro. Name another Anbu Black Op who was any fucking good. You can't. The Masumi might be what the Anbu Black Ops were meant to be. I'm not gonna lie. The whole unit just, like, undetectable, sneak in the strongest in the verse, and have some elite swordplay. They might be a lot better than I gave him credit for, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so Subaru, he is exhausted. He's been awake and working for as long as Kunishige has, and he's also been using his sorcery the entire time. And yet somehow he's still managing to disrupt the Masumi's attacks, and the attacks aren't even directed at him. They're directed at the forge. He managed to read that play through the smoke bombs by using his bloody sandals as a projectile. That's dope. And then manages to block it and slice his blade by abusing the fact that his blade's obviously far superior to the Masumi's. So he just went for the weak spot on the side side, sliced right through. And from that moment, the Musume were like, yep, we're not going to be able to turn this forge off, which means Mr./Mrs. Androgynous pulls up and just holds a katana to Kunishige's throat, which is obviously a huge moment because now Joji's not in a position to help, Subaru's not in a position to help, and this person can just murder Kunishige on the spot. Fortunately, Shiba's here to save the day, but the very important part in this is that Kunishige doesn't move an inch. And this is where we start to get the slightly controversial aspect of this chapter, because, and I'm going to go into it. It's not really discourse or drama. I feel like it needs discussing a bit, right? Or at least I just want to discuss it. And if you can't handle that, leave the video now. But we're going to have a mature discussion about Kunishige's true intentions here. I'll give my interpretation of the kind of writing and themes behind this chapter, and then I'll tell you some interpretations that I've seen from other people, right? So my interpretation is that Kunishige basically grew up feeling this very heavy burden, right? Because of the whole thing of his dad was not a nice dude, and that left a big impact on his mother, who then kind of built up all that trauma and took it out on Kunishige because of his similarity to his dad and because of his red eyes. And it was a burden of guilt that Kunishige kind of had to bear. And then he decided that he was going to protect his mother, right? Because he didn't want her to hurt anymore. And then obviously she, completely not his fault, but she took her own life. And that felt like a massive kind of failure on Kunishige's part. Now Chiaki came in and basically saved him, right? Like she did with just that day when they were cooking, but also as a whole, I feel like her entering his life was a way of saving him in itself. And he felt like in all those moments, he was never able to give back. He felt like he wasn't ever able to protect the people he cared about the same way Chiaki can and does protect the people that she cares about, right? We use that situation with the guy and the sword, or the guy who bought a sword from his dad and came swinging around asking about money and cut Chiaki's arm before Shiba stepped in and took the glory, which we'll discuss in a moment. And Kunishige reflected on that moment and realized if Shiba wasn't there to save the day, Chiaki probably would have died, and there's a good chance he would have died too. So he realized I was useless, like I wasn't able to protect you, and he felt that burden increasing again because he realized, yeah, I am just living off my absolute deadbeat dad's money that a lot of people have been hurt because he sold katanas to not good people. And that is the reason ultimately that Chiaki was hurt, is because of his dad, right? And again, we're increasing that burden on Kunishige and he's feeling even more useless. Now, what he's realized in the last chapter and in this chapter with the actions he's taking to try and save Chiaki is that this is how he can do it. This is how he can finally protect Chiaki because it's all he knows. It's forging katana. That's all he knows how to do. And now he's found himself in a situation where forging katana is exactly what's going to be able to save the people he cares about. And that is so important to him, right? So this isn't, at least the way I saw it, isn't him out of pure male ego or ego at all deciding I want to finally be the big hero who takes all the glory and saves the person I love. That's meant to be the kind of the irony, right? Like, I feel like the reason why this old sorcery bureau guy says that outright, he goes, Kunishige is not respecting Chiaki's wishes, Kunishige is disrespecting the government's direct orders and decision on this, all because he wants to play at being the big hero who rescues her. I read that and interpreted that statement from this guy, who is a biased sorcery bureau guy, who only is thinking about the upcoming war and the conflict, and their solution, bear in mind, the decision is to literally pawn off Chiaki and then use a toddler as their best weapon in this war. So disrespecting the country's decision is pure copium. This whole bit of dialogue is meant to be ironic. The Sorcery Bureau want to sound like the good guys so fucking bad, and they're just not. When you put it in like a different wording, it's, yeah, we want to send Chiaki off to be used and probably killed, and then we're going to pretend like this is her decision when we know full well we would be sending her off whether she wanted to or not. And our decision after that is then to use a 6-month-old Hiyuki as our main weapon instead of even trying to go anywhere with the Datanseki. How come Kunishige is doing this? He's just a selfish nobody who wants to play the hero. I don't understand how that whole thing has been read, and some people have gone, this is a self-insert narrator moment. Konokazono is telling us how we should interpret Kunishige's actions. He obviously just wants to be the big hero and take all the glory in saving the person he cares about to feed his ego. That is legitimately an interpretation that I have seen people have. Now, I disagree with that interpretation, and I think I don't understand how we reached that point, right? However, I do not think there's anything that necessarily proves either one of our interpretations is correct, at least not yet, which means I'm completely fine with you having that interpretation. That's all good, we can agree to disagree. One of my problems in the Kagurabachi community, and it's not a big problem, but there is a vocal minority, that cannot understand the concept of interpreting writing differently. I'm gonna sit here and tell you my interpretation, which is that Kunishige is doing the right thing, and he's doing it out of love and the understanding that he can finally actually protect the people who cares about, not out of ego, but out of, it almost is like he feels he owes Chiaki a debt. But also, it really is as simple as he cares about Chiaki and wants to save her. If she wants to sacrifice herself, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that because we need to respect Chiaki's autonomy and ability to make her own decision, that we should just sit back and let her do it. If I was in that situation, I'd be doing what Kunishige be doing. I'm not just going to say, oh, but you agree? Okay, even though you're agreeing because you've been put in a situation by everyone around you where it's impossible to disagree, I'm just going to let you go and do it? No. And supposedly, I've not seen much of this, but supposedly there have been a few murmurs and stuff from people who think Kunishige should respect Chiaki's wishes and just let her get on with it, which is bullshit because it's not what Chiaki would choose unless she was put in this position by other people. She has a gun to her head making the decision. That's effectively what's happening. And Chiaki as well, when we see the dialogue with Akamura, is doing this to protect everyone. Not because she wants to be the big hero who saves everyone, because out of pure genuine love and not recognition, she wants to save those people, and this is the best way she believes it can be done. The exact same thing applies to Kunishige, because he's found himself in a situation where his one and only real talent for swordsmithing, or whatever it's called, forging, is how he's actually going to be able to help people this time around. I did not see this as a big ego move, and I think the fact that it was called a big ego move by this guy, this Mr. Biased, I'm gonna send a toddler onto the battlefield, I'm gonna pretend Chiaki has free will and a decision in this sorcery bureau guy. Why would I take what he has to say as a author self-insert narration, telling me how I'm meant to interpret this? I read it and I feel very strongly that it's meant to be ironic. It's so ironic, and I know there's not much editing in this section, and I'm going on a big rant. I'm explaining how I've interpreted this chapter, and maybe I'm stupid, maybe I can't read. Fine. There are lots of people who think that the point of this chapter was to emphasize that Kunishige is doing this out of recognition and this drive of male ego. Even if that were true, does that change anything? Sure, there's something that Hokuzono would be trying to say there. Fine, there's some commentary there. I get that, and there still can be. Even if that's not the reason Kunishige is doing it, the fact that it was commentary at all, even if it's from biased sorcery bureau guy, it might very well be something that Hokuzono is trying to express without actually putting Kunishige in a position where he's doing that, you know? So you can't have it both ways. Kinda. But again, the problem that I have sometimes in this community is there is a vocal minority who absolutely refuses to just acknowledge that we can agree to disagree. But I think the majority agrees that it's out of love. The decision to step in and save Chiaki is the right decision to make. The investing in Dat and Seki is the objectively correct path to be taking. And that is what is heavily explored in this chapter. And I feel like it has been taken in a completely off-track context here, right? Which again is fine, but I'm just clearing up how I think this chapter has been set out. I know I'm repeating myself as well. This is going to be a big yap fest, but again, I don't think it's drama. I don't think it's discourse. It's just some disagreements people have. Feel free to educate me, by the way, if I'm missing something. Like, I'll always ask and try and understand the other side of it. It's just when I try and do that, a lot of the time I'm either already like blocked or people are just completely uninterested in actually having the conversation, trying to help me understand. Whatever, man. It's not that big of a deal. It's just, it was an interesting discussion that got brought up. And so I was like, for this chapter review, let's get into it. Let's discuss it. Like, I enjoy this kind of discussion because again, I'm ready to listen and understand. And it was an interesting clash of interpretations. I think my only actual problem was the fact that a lot of people on either side of these kind of discussions tend to just shut down interpretation and pretend like it's an objective sort of thing, which is silly, especially when the series isn't over. Like when there's still future developments to be made and things to be fleshed out, it's a kind of silly mindset to have to like shut down any other interpretations, because it might be that what they're saying is completely correct and absolutely Hokuzono's intentions, in which case next week I'll go, oh, it's a lot clearer now, that is what he meant to do. Oh, okay, that's cool. But right now, I don't think it's crazy to not see it. I don't know, big yap discussion, I guess, for a surprisingly short chapter. There wasn't much else to say on it other than Shiba glaze, we got that covered. Masumi glaze, got that covered. Subaru discussion, kind of, but that not really much happened there. And then just this discussion about the true nature of Kunishige's intentions, which I think is really good writing regardless from Hokuzono, and it is an interesting kind of discussion to have. I'm 22 minutes into this video and I'm just repeating myself. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. All right, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in a bit.